Learn to act as if nothing bothers you, not because nothing hurts, not because you are numb, and not because life suddenly became easy. You do it because you finally understand that your peace is too valuable to be handed over to every comment, every delay, every misunderstanding, and every negative opinion that comes your way. Mastering your reactions is one of the most difficult and most powerful skills a human being can develop. Most people spend their lives trying to control the world around them, changing people, fixing situations, forcing outcomes, only to discover that the world does not bend to their will. This constant struggle is what creates frustration, anger, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. You were never meant to control the world. You were meant to control yourself. Every situation in life offers two things: the event itself and your reaction to it. The event is often outside your control, the reaction is always yours, yet most people give their reactions away unconsciously. A harsh word can ruin their entire day, a delay can trigger anger, a criticism can shake their confidence. A small inconvenience can feel like a personal attack. In these moments, the problem is not the situation. It is the untrained reaction. When you react without thinking, you surrender your power. You allow external forces to dictate your inner state. Anyone who can provoke you can control you. Anyone who can upset you can distract you. Anyone who can offend you can drain your energy. This is why mastering your reactions is not about becoming passive or indifferent. It is about reclaiming ownership of your emotional life. Reacting is easy. Anyone can react. Children react. Immature minds react. But responding with awareness, restraint, and wisdom, that takes strength. The pause between what happens and how you respond is where growth lies. In that pause, you decide who you are going to be. Are you going to be ruled by impulse or guided by principle? Are you going to feed the fire or extinguish it? Many people believe that reacting strongly shows confidence or dominance. In reality, uncontrolled reactions often reveal insecurity. When someone is deeply secure, they do not feel the need to defend every comment or challenge every opinion. They understand that not everything deserves their emotional investment. They understand that their worth does not depend on constant validation or winning every argument. Learning to master your reactions also means understanding that emotions are messengers, not masters. Anger, sadness, frustration, and disappointment are natural. They arise to tell you something. But feeling an emotion does not mean you must act on it immediately. A mature person can feel anger without becoming cruel, feel frustration without becoming reckless, feel hurt without becoming bitter. This separation between feeling and acting is the foundation of self-control. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with reactions is ego. The ego wants to be right. It wants to be respected. It wants to be seen. When ego is in control, even small issues become personal battles. A simple disagreement turns into a fight. A minor criticism becomes an insult. But when you rise above ego, you begin to see situations more clearly. You stop asking, "How does this affect my image?" and start asking, "What is the wisest response here?" Mastering your reactions does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending nothing affects you. Suppression leads to internal pressure, resentment, and eventual breakdown. Instead, mastery means awareness. You acknowledge what you feel, but you choose how to express it, or whether to express it at all. You give yourself time to cool down, to reflect, to act with intention rather than impulse. This skill transforms relationships. Many conflicts are not caused by the issue itself, but by how people react to it. A calm response can de-escalate tension instantly. A measured tone can prevent words that cannot be taken back. When you stop reacting emotionally, you stop adding fuel to unnecessary fires. You become a stabilizing presence rather than a source of chaos. It also transforms your inner life. When you are no longer constantly reacting, your mind becomes quieter. You waste less energy replaying conversations, imagining arguments, or holding grudges. Your focus shifts from external noise to internal clarity. You begin to see patterns in your behavior and triggers that once controlled you. Awareness replaces confusion. There will be moments when mastering your reaction feels unfair. You may feel justified in reacting. You may feel wronged, disrespected, or misunderstood. But mastery is not about fairness. It is about freedom. Reacting might feel good for a moment, but it often creates long-term consequences. Self-control may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it protects your future peace. With practice, reacting less does not make you weaker. It makes you unshakable. You begin to understand that calm is not the absence of strength. It is the presence of discipline. When others panic, you think. When others shout, you listen. When others lose control, you remain steady. This steadiness becomes your advantage in life. Conclusion: mastering your reactions is the beginning of mastering your life. The world will always be unpredictable. People will always be imperfect, and challenges will always arise. But when you learn to control how you respond, you stop being a prisoner of circumstances. You stop handing your peace to anyone who provokes you. True power is not found in controlling others. It is found in controlling yourself. When you master your reactions, nothing outside you can disturb what is built within you. Silence is one of the most misunderstood forces in human behavior. Many people associate silence with fear, weakness, or defeat, assuming that the person who does not speak has nothing to say or lacks the courage to defend themselves. In reality, silence often requires more strength than words. It takes discipline to remain quiet when emotions demand expression. It takes confidence to withhold a response when the ego wants recognition. And it takes wisdom to understand that not every moment calls for a voice. In a world that rewards loudness, instant reactions, and constant opinions, silence feels uncomfortable. We are taught to explain ourselves, to justify our actions, and to defend our position at all costs. Yet the strongest individuals know that words once spoken cannot be taken back. Silence creates space to think, to observe, to choose carefully. It is in that space that power is preserved. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is a form of communication in itself. When used intentionally, it can express confidence, self-control, and emotional maturity. A person who remains silent during provocation sends a powerful message: I am not controlled by this moment. This kind of silence unsettles negativity because it removes the reaction that fuels conflict. Arguments survive on response. Drama thrives on attention. When silence enters the room, unnecessary conflict often loses its energy. Many people speak too quickly because they fear being misunderstood. But constant explanation often leads to deeper misunderstanding. The more you try to convince everyone of your intentions, the more power you give to their opinions. Silence, on the other hand, communicates self-assurance. It suggests that you are comfortable with who you are, even if others do not fully understand you. You do not need universal approval to stand firm. Silence also protects dignity. In heated moments, emotions can turn words into weapons. A sharp response may feel satisfying in the moment, but it often leaves behind regret, broken relationships, and damaged reputations. When you choose silence, you protect yourself from saying something that contradicts your values. You allow emotions to settle before they shape your actions. There is a difference between being silent out of fear and being silent out of strength. Fearful silence avoids confrontation because of insecurity. Powerful silence avoids unnecessary conflict because of clarity. The difference lies in intention. When silence is chosen consciously, it becomes an act of control rather than avoidance. You are not retreating. You are standing still while chaos moves around you. Silence sharpens awareness. When you stop speaking, you start listening. You notice tone, body language, and underlying emotions that words often hide. You begin to understand people better, not just what they say, but why they say it. This understanding gives you an advantage. It allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react blindly. In relationships, silence can be a healing force. Not every disagreement needs immediate resolution. Sometimes space and quiet allow emotions to cool and perspectives to shift. Silence creates room for reflection, empathy, and growth. It prevents small issues from becoming permanent scars. When both sides are heard through patience rather than interruption, understanding becomes possible. Silence also strengthens inner discipline. Resisting the urge to speak trains the mind to pause. That pause becomes a habit. Over time, you develop the ability to separate emotion from action. You no longer feel compelled to fill every gap with words. You become comfortable with stillness, and that comfort reflects inner stability. Many people mistake silence for surrender, but silence does not mean agreement. It means you choose not to engage at that moment. It means you value your peace more than proving a point. True strength does not need constant demonstration. It reveals itself through restraint. In moments of criticism or insult, silence can be especially powerful. Responding defensively often validates the attack. Silence, however, denies its significance. It signals that the comment does not define you. When you do respond later, your words carry more weight because they are not driven by emotion. Conclusion: silence is strength when it is guided by awareness and self-respect. It is the ability to remain composed in a world that thrives on reaction. By choosing silence, you protect your dignity, preserve your energy, and maintain control over your inner state. Words are easy, restraint is rare. When you learn to be silent without feeling small, you discover a quiet power that no argument can take away. Choosing peace over proving a point is one of the most challenging decisions a person can make, especially in a world that constantly pushes you to defend your opinions, protect your image, and assert your correctness. From a young age, many people are taught that being right equals being strong, that winning an argument equals success, and that backing down equals weakness. Over time, this mindset creates endless conflict, emotional fatigue, and strained relationships. The truth, however, is that peace is far more valuable than being right, and wisdom lies in knowing when to let go. Most arguments are not truly about facts or truth. They are about ego. They are about the need to be seen, validated, and respected. When ego is involved, even small disagreements can escalate into intense battles. People stop listening and start preparing their next defense. Voices rise, emotions flare, and the original issue gets lost in the struggle to dominate the conversation. In these moments, proving a point becomes more important than understanding one another. The need to always be right comes at a high cost. It drains mental energy, damages trust, and creates emotional distance. Relationships suffer because no one feels heard, they feel challenged. Over time, constantly proving your point can isolate you, leaving you surrounded by tension instead of connection. Peace, on the other hand, builds bridges. It allows space for differences without turning them into divisions. Choosing peace does not mean abandoning your values or compromising your beliefs. It means recognizing that not every situation requires confrontation. Some people are not looking for truth, they are looking for validation. Engaging in arguments with such individuals rarely leads to understanding. Instead, it leads to frustration. Walking away from these battles is not a loss, it is an act of self-respect. There is a deep strength in letting others hold their opinions without feeling the need to correct them. When you stop trying to convince everyone, you free yourself from the burden of constant explanation. You begin to understand that your worth is not measured by how well you defend your ideas, but by how well you live them. Actions carry more weight than arguments. Many conflicts escalate because people feel unheard. Ironically, trying to prove your point often prevents true listening. When peace becomes the priority, listening improves. You approach conversations with curiosity rather than defensiveness. You seek understanding rather than victory. This shift transforms communication from confrontation to connection. Choosing peace also requires humility. It means accepting that you do not have all the answers and that others' perspectives, even if different, are shaped by their experiences. Humility opens the door to growth. When you release the need to always be right, you create space to learn. You begin to see conversations as opportunities for insight, rather than arenas for competition. In many situations, proving a point brings only temporary satisfaction. The emotional high of winning, an argument fades quickly, often replaced by guilt, regret, or lingering tension. Peace, however, leaves a lasting sense of calm. It allows you to move forward without carrying resentment or replaying conversations in your mind. This mental freedom is invaluable. Choosing peace does not mean avoiding difficult conversations altogether. There are moments when speaking up is necessary, when silence would betray your values. But even in these moments, peace can guide your approach. You can express your truth calmly, respectfully, and without aggression. Peace is not silence, it is intention. As you practice choosing peace, you will notice a shift in your inner world. You become less reactive and more reflective. Your emotional stability strengthens. You begin to feel grounded, no longer pulled into every disagreement. This stability attracts healthier relationships and environments because people sense your calm and respect your boundaries. Conclusion: choosing peace over proving a point is a powerful act of self-mastery. It is the understanding that your inner calm is worth more than any argument you could win. When you release the need to be right, you gain clarity, connection, and freedom. Peace is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of wisdom. In choosing peace, you choose yourself, your well-being, and a life guided by purpose rather than ego. Learning to detach emotionally without losing compassion is one of the most delicate balances a person can achieve. Many people believe that detachment means becoming cold, distant, or uncaring. Others believe that compassion requires absorbing everyone else's pain, problems, and emotions as their own. Both extremes lead to suffering. True emotional maturity lies in caring deeply while remaining centered, present without being overwhelmed, and kind without being controlled by emotion. Human beings are emotional by nature. We feel joy, sadness, anger, disappointment, and empathy. These emotions connect us to others and give life its depth. But when emotions are left unmanaged, they begin to rule decisions, distort judgment, and drain energy. Emotional detachment is not about eliminating feelings. It is about creating healthy boundaries between what you feel and how you act. Many people confuse emotional attachment with love. They believe that to care means to worry constantly, to sacrifice endlessly, and to carry emotional burdens that are not theirs to bear. Over time, this leads to exhaustion, resentment, and burnout. Detachment allows you to love without losing yourself. It allows you to help without harming your own well-being. Detachment begins with awareness. You notice emotions as they arise, but you do not immediately react to them. You observe them instead of becoming them. This observation creates space. In that space, you regain choice. You can decide whether a situation truly requires your emotional investment or whether it is something you must release. Compassion, when guided by wisdom, does not demand emotional suffering. You can understand someone's pain without absorbing it. You can offer support without carrying their problems home with you. You can listen without feeling responsible for fixing everything. This form of compassion is sustainable. It allows you to show up consistently without being drained. One of the biggest challenges in emotional detachment is letting go of expectations. Expectations create emotional hooks. When you expect others to behave a certain way, you give them power over your emotional state. Detachment teaches you to accept people as they are, not as you wish them to be. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means acknowledging reality without resistance. Detachment also protects you from manipulation. When emotions run unchecked, people can influence your actions through guilt, fear, or obligation. By staying emotionally grounded, you make decisions based on values rather than pressure. You remain compassionate, but you are no longer easily controlled. This balance is especially important in difficult relationships. When you care deeply, it is easy to get pulled into drama, arguments, and emotional cycles. Detachment allows you to step back, respond calmly, and avoid being drawn into chaos. You remain present, but you are not reactive. Detachment also strengthens self-respect. When you are emotionally attached to outcomes, rejection and failure feel personal. Detachment allows you to see setbacks as experiences rather than judgments. You learn without self-blame. You grow without bitterness. Importantly, detachment does not eliminate kindness. In fact, it often enhances it. When you are not overwhelmed by emotion, your compassion becomes clearer and more intentional. You can help from a place of strength rather than obligation. Your kindness becomes a choice, not a burden. Conclusion: emotional detachment without losing compassion is the art of caring wisely. It is the ability to remain open-hearted while staying grounded, empathetic without being consumed. When you master this balance, you protect your peace without closing your heart. You become steady in a world of emotional extremes, offering kindness from strength rather than sacrifice. This is not indifference. It is mature compassion guided by self-respect. Learning to observe without absorbing negativity is a skill that separates emotional intelligence from emotional exhaustion. Most people believe that simply witnessing negativity, hearing criticism, being around pessimistic people, or facing hostile environment automatically means they must feel its weight. Over time, this belief drains energy, clouds judgment, and shapes identity in ways people never intended. The truth is that you can see, hear, and understand negativity without allowing it to live inside you. The human mind is highly receptive. It absorbs tone, emotion, and intention even when words are not spoken. This is why environments matter so much. Constant exposure to negativity can slowly reshape how you think, react, and even view yourself. But observation does not require absorption. Just as you can watch clouds pass without becoming the storm, you can witness negativity without letting it define your emotional state. Many people absorb negativity because they personalize it. They assume every criticism is about their worth, every complaint is a reflection of their failure, and every negative reaction is their responsibility. This habit turns external noise into internal conflict. Observing without absorbing requires a shift in perspective. Recognizing that most negativity is a reflection of the other person's inner world, not a verdict on yours. When someone speaks from anger, insecurity, or frustration, they are revealing more about themselves than about you. Understanding this creates emotional distance. You listen with awareness rather than defensiveness. You gather information without internalizing emotion. This distance is not coldness. It is clarity. Another reason people absorb negativity is the desire to fix everything. They feel responsible for resolving other people's emotions, opinions, and problems. This sense of responsibility becomes overwhelming. Observation teaches you to acknowledge without ownership. You can recognize someone's pain without making it yours to carry. You can understand a problem without assuming it is yours to solve. Negativity thrives on reaction. When you react emotionally, negativity gains power. When you observe calmly, it weakens. Calm observation removes the emotional fuel that negativity needs to grow. It allows you to remain centered while chaos unfolds around you. This skill requires practice. especially in close relationships and professional environments where feedback and criticism are unavoidable. Not all negativity is useless. Some criticism carries valuable insight. Observation allows you to separate the message from the emotion. You take what is useful and discard the rest. Absorption, on the other hand, swallows everything: truth, exaggeration, and hostility alike. Observing without absorbing also means setting mental boundaries. Just as physical boundaries protect your body, mental boundaries protect your mind. You decide what enters your inner world. This decision empowers you. You stop being a passive recipient of other people's moods and opinions and become an active guardian of your mental space. Social comparison is another form of negativity that many people absorb unconsciously. Observing others' success or opinions can trigger insecurity and self-doubt. Observation reminds you that everyone's journey is different. Absorption convinces you that you are falling behind. Detachment restores perspective. As you develop this skill, your inner dialogue changes. Instead of reacting with self-criticism or emotional turmoil, you respond with curiosity and discernment. You ask, is this useful? Is this true? Does this deserve my energy? These questions act as filters, preventing negativity from taking root. Conclusion: observing without absorbing negativity is a form of self-respect. It allows you to stay aware without being overwhelmed, informed without being poisoned. When you master this skill, you become emotionally resilient. You move through life grounded, clear, and focused, no longer carrying burdens that were never yours to begin with. Protecting your inner peace is one of the most important responsibilities you have in life, yet it is often treated as an afterthought. Many people assume peace will come naturally once external problems are solved, when circumstances improve, when people change, when success arrives. In reality, peace does not depend on external conditions. It depends on the boundaries you set and the priorities you choose. Without conscious protection, inner peace is easily stolen by drama, negativity, and unnecessary conflict. Inner peace is fragile, not because it is weak, but because it is valuable. Just as you would guard something precious, you must guard your mental and emotional space. Every argument you engage in, every toxic environment you tolerate, and every negative influence you allow chips away at your peace. Over time, these small compromises create a constant state of tension and unrest. One of the biggest threats to inner peace is unnecessary engagement. Not every comment requires a response. Not every disagreement requires a debate. Many conflicts exist only because someone chose to participate. When you learn to step back, you realize how many battles were never yours to fight. Choosing not to engage is often the most powerful form of self-protection. Protecting your peace also means being selective about your environment. The people you surround yourself with influence your thoughts, mood, and behavior. Constant exposure to pessimism, gossip, or emotional chaos slowly erodes calmness. This does not mean cutting everyone off, but it does mean limiting access to those who consistently disturb your balance. Distance can be an act of self-care, not rejection. Technology is another silent intruder of peace. Constant notifications, comparisons, and information overload keep the mind restless. Protecting your peace may require intentional disconnection, creating moments of quiet where your mind can reset. Stillness allows clarity. Without it, stress becomes the default state. Inner peace also requires strong personal boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines that protect your well-being. They define what behavior you accept and what you do not. Without boundaries, others will unconsciously cross lines, draining your energy and testing your patience. With boundaries, relationships become healthier and more respectful. Another key aspect of protecting peace is learning to let go of what you cannot control. Many people lose peace by mentally revisiting past mistakes or worrying about future outcomes. This mental resistance creates constant unrest. Acceptance brings relief. It allows you to focus on what you can influence instead of being consumed by what you cannot. Protecting your peace also means managing your internal dialogue. The voice inside your head can be either your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. Constant self-criticism, overthinking, and worry disrupt peace even in calm environments. Replacing harsh self-talk with understanding and patience restores balance. As you prioritize inner peace, you may notice resistance from others. Some people benefit from your reactions, availability, or emotional investment. When you change, they may feel uncomfortable. This discomfort is not a sign you are wrong. It is a sign you are growing. Peace often requires disappointing others to remain true to yourself. Conclusion: protecting your inner peace is not selfish. It is essential. When your mind is calm, your decisions are clearer, your relationships healthier, and your life more aligned. Peace is not something you find. It is something you defend daily through choices, boundaries, and self-awareness. When you treat your peace as non-negotiable, you create a life guided by intention rather than reaction. Calmness is often mistaken for passivity, indifference, or lack of ambition, yet in reality it is one of the clearest signs of inner power. When a person remains calm under pressure, it reveals a depth of self-mastery that no outward display of dominance can match. Calmness is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to regulate emotion so that it serves you rather than controls you. This regulation is what separates strength from chaos. In moments of difficulty, the natural impulse is to react. The body responds with tension, the mind rushes to judgment, and emotions demand immediate expression. Most people live at the mercy of these impulses, believing them to be unavoidable. But calmness emerges when you realize that impulses are suggestions, not commands. You feel them, acknowledge them, and then choose how to act. This choice is the essence of power. Calmness allows clarity. When emotions are heightened, perception becomes distorted. Small issues feel enormous, and temporary setbacks feel permanent. A calm mind sees proportion. It understands that most problems are solvable and many are temporary. This perspective prevents panic and preserves focus. While others rush to react, the calm individual assesses, plans, and acts deliberately. Inner power does not seek attention. It does not need to announce itself through loud words or dramatic reactions. Calmness carries a quiet authority. People instinctively trust those who remain composed in stressful situations. This trust comes from the sense that such a person is grounded and reliable. Calmness reassures others even before solutions are found. Calmness also disrupts negativity. Anger feeds on resistance. Drama feeds on reaction. When you respond with calmness, you remove the emotional fuel that conflict needs to grow. This does not mean you allow disrespect. It means you address issues without escalating them. Calm firmness is far more effective than emotional intensity. Developing calmness requires practice. It is built through repeated moments of restraint, reflection, and self-awareness. Each time you choose to pause instead of react, you strengthen this inner muscle. Over time, calmness becomes your default state rather than an effortful choice. Calmness is closely tied to confidence. When you trust yourself, you feel less threatened by challenges or opinions. You no longer need to prove your strength because you know it. This self-assurance allows you to remain steady even when others doubt or criticize you. In leadership, calmness is invaluable. A calm leader inspires stability. They make decisions based on reason rather than fear. In crisis, people look for someone who remains composed. Calmness becomes a guiding force that steadies others. Calmness does not mean emotional suppression. Suppressed emotions eventually surface in unhealthy ways. Calmness means processing emotions internally and expressing them constructively. It is emotional intelligence in action. Conclusion: calmness is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the visible sign of inner discipline, confidence, and clarity. When you cultivate calmness, you gain control over your reactions, your decisions, and ultimately your life. True power does not shout. It remains calm and steady, shaping outcomes through wisdom rather than force.